Throughout your journey in the Forever Winter, you will encounter terrifying enemies. These enemies make their horrific capabilities abundantly clear the moment you cross their path. From Mother Courage ripping you limb from limb, to the Orgamach's swift decapitation, or the Grabber treating you like a chew toy, these horrors are unmistakable. But here's the thing about horror. With time, it gives way to understanding. From understanding, knowledge grows. And as knowledge grows, the horror diminishes. You adapt. You overcome. It's why, as a species, we've endured. Our ability to collect, analyze, and use knowledge to turn the odds ever in our favor. But what about the unknown? The things that we cannot learn or rationalize. The horrors we cannot observe but can only imagine. That is where true fear resides, the fear of the unexplainable. And from this terrifying unknown comes a threat so bizarre, so unthinkable, that in this unit deep dive, we'll attempt to rationalize, to decipher, to explain the flying cow. To first help us decipher the meaning, the purpose of these flying cows, let us take a closer, much closer look at these floating bovines. The flying cow is not one single entity, but two separate entities working in tandem. From a distance, the balloon ferrying these cows across the bleak skies of the Forever Winter appears almost cobbled together, a patchwork monstrosity. Its dark, shadowy coloration gives it an ominous silhouette, while its interior skeleton, if you can call it that, seems erratic and fragmented, joining and parting in almost fractal patterns. This skeletal framework is shrouded in a covering that resembles a thick, weathered canvas, or perhaps something far more organic, like leather. But this balloon isn't just a passive vessel. It terminates in four long protruding claws, grotesquely reminiscent of talons. These claws clutch tightly onto the cow, almost as though driven by instinct. It's a grip that looks deliberate, reflexive, and unnervingly alive. The reflexive grip on the cow can be seen across the natural world. In humans and primates, it's most recognizable during infancy, an instinctive clenching response when something touches the hand. Lobsters exhibit a similar reflex, clamping their claws tightly when an object is placed within them. But the behavior most closely mirrors that of birds, raptors, and other perching species in particular. These birds reflexively clamp their talons, securing prey with a crushing force or latching firmly onto a branch. The resemblance is uncanny, as though this balloon, or whatever it truly is driven by a similar primal instinct. Could this so-called balloon be a grotesque meld of biomechanics, a reprogrammed and repurposed bird's brain, stripped of identity, reduced to nothing more than a reflex designed to grab and hold? Is this balloon truly even a balloon, or something worse? To help us answer this question, if it looks like a balloon and moves like a balloon, is it a balloon? Let us first look at what it is often carrying: a cow. An entire cow. These cows, ferried across the desolate landscapes of the Forever Winter, have a few notable physical traits. They all share a patterned red and white coloration, are exclusively female, and are horned. While it is likely in the future high-tech environment these cows are genetically modified, the base breed seems to be of the Ayrshire or the Simmental cow. These are medium to large-sized cows ranging from 540 kilograms up to 900 kilograms. Using the best-case scenario of 540 kilograms, being roughly equivalent to 7 or 8 people, the amount of lift this balloon would have to provide passively is utterly insurmountable in its current relative size. For reference, David Blaine, floating during his 2020 stunt, Ascension, required around 86 cubic meters of helium to float, seen here. This balloon simply does not work. Rather, it cannot work as a balloon. Unless there's anti-gravity in that balloon, physics does not allow that balloon to lift that cow, even with the best gas to provide lift, hydrogen. But yet, the cow flies. There must be thrust, a force pushing against gravity, keeping this monstrosity aloft, but there's no conventional way of producing it, no propellers, jets, or rotary blades. Aside from the small fan for horizontal movement, there's nothing. So what's providing this thrust? Breathing. The balloon breathes. This is no balloon, it's a bird. Or at least it was, long ago. Before the genetic modifications, before the biomechanics, before its very essence was stripped away and repurposed. These balloons are birds, grotesquely re-engineered. All of the unneeded parts have been stripped away, leaving only the essentials. They retain the reflexes of their claws, their natural desire to fly, and most disturbingly, the instinct to breathe. But to whatever twisted them, they are no longer creatures. They are tools, and breathing is no longer a sign of life. It is now a function, a means to a singular purpose: propulsion. A flying lung, powered by a bird's brain, ferrying what appears to be ordinary cows across the war-torn battlefields of the forever winter to destinations unknown. Or are they? Now, let us delve deeper into lore and theories surrounding these mysterious cows. To begin, we turn our gaze to the unsettling heart of scavenger territory, a home known as the Innards. Deep in the bowels of the city, within the Innards, the refuge scavengers like yourself call home, stands a shrine. This shrine is dedicated to the Rat King, a fearsome mech revered as the champion of the lowly people who inhabit these shadows. Beside the shrine, a mural depicts an unsettling scene: the harvesting of these flying cows. Strewn at the feet of the shrine are the carcasses of these multiple cows, their remains arranged like an offering, symbolic or perhaps even literal to the Rat King. These remnants suggest that at least once, the scavengers offered these creatures to the Rat King, and in its benevolence, it accepted. Though the Rat King might not comprehend the worship of these scavengers, it clearly recognizes their value. Over time, a mutually beneficial relationship emerged, a barter between the flesh and the steel. This relationship echoes ancient sacrificial religions, where worshippers would offer their sacrifices to the gods in exchange for blessings or protection. Here, the Rat King's favor comes in the form of unimaginable resources scavengers could never acquire alone. For the Rat King, much like the grotesque Toothy, sustenance lies in the biological matter, broken down to fuel its unending hunger. For the scavengers, it is not the biological, but the technological they crave, tools and devices necessary for survival in this endless winter. The Rat King provides these gifts, trading power for flesh, strength for blood. This barter system, this grim alliance, may explain much about the Innards themselves. In the room of blood bags lies an orgamech pinned to the wall. The notion of scavengers overpowering and retrieving such a foe seems impossible until you consider the Rat King. In battle, the orgamech was skewered onto one of the Rat King's many meat hooks. Though the orgamech is an abomination of flesh and metal, unsavory to the taste of the Rat King. In this, the first barter was made, the alliance formed, food for power. Too damaged to fight back, the orgamech was pinned to the wall of the Innards, kept alive as an endless, reluctant source of power. Perhaps the orgamech even preferred this fate sparing itself from the slow digestion upon the meat hooks of the Rat King. Outside of sacrificial offerings, the flying cows could serve as a secondary source of food, though a precarious and inconsistent one at best. Like the hunter-gatherers of ancient times, these modern scavengers hunt not in forests for deer or the prairies for bison, but in the skies, seeking sustenance for themselves and for their tribe. Returning such a large creature to the innards would be no small feat, but a coordinated team of scavengers could manage the burden together. The mural in the innards stands as a testament to the scavengers' reliance on these cows and their reverence for the Rat King. A grim cycle of flesh for power, sacrifice for salvation. Yet while the scavengers have found their use for these bovines, their true purpose remains shrouded in mystery. Why are they shipped across the skies, to and from the battlefields, seemingly ignored by all but those desperate enough to hunt them? To unravel this mystery, we must look beyond the innards and into the broader world. Across the skies of Megxit 32, the city of Los Angeles, the flying cows are a constant presence. Day and night, they drift above the battlefields, graveyards, and ruins of the city. Their movements are predictable, yet strange. These cows seem neither dropped off nor picked up as they travel to and from the city. Instead, they hover, always in transit, as if they serve a purpose no one dares to question. Stranger still, the cows are often seen in various states of disrepair. Some are missing entirely, while others hang limply, half suspended from their flying apparatuses. These half-hung cows might suggest a failed hunt, attempts by desperate teams to harvest one, ending in partial success or utter failure. Yet the most peculiar aspect of all of this is the collective indifference shown by the warring factions. The factions don't shoot them down, nor do they attempt to interfere. Why? Do they have strict orders to leave the cows alone? Are there unseen systems of punishment for interference? Or is there an unspoken understanding that these cows serve a purpose too vital to disrupt? Perhaps the value of these cows lies not in the meat they provide, but in what resides within their living flesh, functioning organs, or their ability to incubate other life forms, like mutagenic viruses or biological augmentations. Shooting them down in the chaos of battle might be seen as wasteful. Instead, factions might prefer to win the skirmish, and then, when the battlefield is quiet, fish the skies for the prize. Each faction may have its own reason for coveting these cows, especially if they are captured alive. For Europa, the cows could provide food, or perhaps even dairy, sustaining their troops and civilian infrastructure. For Euruska, the purpose grows far darker. These cows might serve as incubators for mutagenic viruses, or be harvested for their flesh and organs, fueling the creation of grotesque biomechanical constructs like the Orgamech and medium mechs for Euruska. For Eurasia, the value might align with Euruska's, but with a sharper focus on preserving fresh organs, prized for their immediate utility in experiments. Yet despite their potential value, one thing remains clear: these cows are left untouched on the battlefields and in the graveyards of war. What secrets do they carry that even the chaos of war refuses to disturb? To uncover this mystery, let us now turn our gaze to the Biofabricators and the secrets they may harbor. To preface this section, let's first consider a basic fact about the food chain. The more steps between the original source of energy and the end consumer, humans in this case, the less efficient the process becomes. Each step in the chain loses energy, with much of it lost as relatively useless heat. Introducing even one additional step creates massive energy loss. Cows, for example, are inherently inefficient ways to transfer energy from the sun to plants, plants to the cow, and finally cows to the human, with humans only receiving a fraction of the energy those plants originally had. But in the forever winter, efficiency may no longer be a concern. With unlimited power comes unlimited possibilities. In a world where advanced biofabricators may be powered by fusion or fission, the inefficiency of energy transfer matters little, if at all. These biofabs are not concerned with conservation. They exist to convert abundant energy into usable forms for humans, no matter the cost. And the cow, it may simply be the chosen method through which this energy is transformed, a means of converting energy into a form usable by humans. These cows might not even consume normal feed like grass. Instead, their growth could be fueled by nutrient paste, a synthesized substance created through atomic and protein level manipulation. Similar to modern efforts to synthesize lab-grown meat, this process could operate on a much larger scale, breaking everything down to the molecular building blocks before reassembling it in a form usable for the cow. Yet in the grim reality of the forever winter, darker options emerge. Organic tissues from the dead, human or otherwise, are broken down into a nutrient slurry, grotesquely recycled to feed these cows. Even the cows themselves, shipped out and returned to the biofabricators, are not exempt. A returned cow signifying defectiveness or inadequacy. Its journey ended as it is stripped apart and fed back into the endless cycle of the AI foreman's cold, unyielding logic. Much like how many have abandoned flesh for metal, so too has nature itself been twisted and corrupted. The natural cycle of life and death now bows to an overseer with a single, unrelenting directive: make, feed, ship, recycle, repeat. And so the cows circle endlessly above the graveyards of war, silent symbols of a world stripped of meaning, bound by an unyielding logic. In the grimdark future of the forever winter, we are all nothing more than cogs in the machine. That's all for today's deep dive video into the flying cow. What do you think its true purpose is? Why do you think these factions seem to ignore them? Share your theories in the comments below, and let me know which unit you'd like to see next. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.